Multiple people have told me that 2015 has been a terrible year for music. Multiple people have a fucking screw loose. We're going to go with this kind of one genre at a time. And here, on the first episode, we're going to tackle songs from 2015. We're going to talk about 10 progressive metal or progressive rock songs from 2015 that you may not know and that you definitely got to hear. I'm going to tell you this, from this list by itself, it would make it a really good year for heavy metal based around just how one subgenre has performed. But this is literally across the grid and across the field. So, why don't we get started? Hit my music.
Number 10.
Song number 10 on this list is Comfort Zone by the band Beardfish. We reviewed this album on this channel, plus 4626 Comfort Zone, a little bit earlier this year. And it's one where the band is yelling from the underground, from the kind of unknown, that they deserve, that they demand attention, and they're very deserving of it. This is a great group that harkens back memories of names such as Dream Theater, of Wolverine and Pain of Salvation, and really, if you channel even further back, you can hear some hints of maybe some Enchant or even some Marillion. A great group that's able to captivate and use a very cinematic at times feeling sound in order to grip you in. This is a terrific song from a great band, and if you actually click up in the corner, you can hear each and every song that we're talking about this week, and I definitely suggest that you take advantage of that.
Number 9.
Number 9, we have So Right, So Wrong by Royal Hunt. Royal Hunt are veterans of the progressive metal scene, and it's one where they almost border on power metal at times, and it's one that works very well for them and has for quite a while. Devil's Dozen is the new album from these boys here in 2015, and it once again serves as a reminder of just how great this band is. This track really fluctuates in its emotional output, and it's one that's able to contain itself nicely and also really showcase a lot of what this band can do outside of the slower perspective. This is one that you need to check out for sure. And Royal Hunt is a group that if you're into progressive music and have never heard of them, you have a big time journey on your hands. Go take it.
Number 8.
Number 8 on this list is Subsignal. The song is entitled A Myth Written on Water. The album is entitled The Beacons of Somewhere, Sometime. This band may not seem familiar to most of you, but it contains members of a former progressive metal band, one that I would recommend from the past, entitled Siege's Even. They may seem a little bit more familiar to progressive veterans. Subsignal's work is a little bit softer than what you heard on primarily on Siege's Even's work, but it's still exceptionally well tailored. This is one where the emotion definitely keeps the listener in check and grips them more so in this very emotionally driven journey. And this album is one that certainly fulfills that same prophecy. It's one that was just released a couple of weeks ago, and is certainly well worth the effort of trying to find and listen to. These boys are veterans of the progressive game, so them tailoring their sound and trying something different is actually something that's very welcome, and it's something that with Subsignal has worked very nicely.
Number 7.
Number 7, we have Caligulas Horse with Marigold. This is off an album entitled Bloom. Those of you who have switched over to Twitch here with coverkillernation know of this song, considering I played it at the end of our inaugural stream. It's one that's very frantic, that almost has a progressive alternative feel to it, and these guys are exceptionally talented in their ability not only to morph a very emotionally driven music, but also in their instrumental prowess. This is a band that almost takes this to math metal regions, either that or gent regions. One that definitely, really one of their biggest and strongest options is not only their songwriting, but also their overall execution. Caligulas Horse is a name that is not known by nearly enough people, and it's one that should certainly increase in memory very, very soon.
Number 6.
Number 6 is An Ordinary Dream by the band Terra Maze. Their new album, Her Halo, was released a couple of months ago, and this is a sprawling 12-minute long track that really gives you that whole element of a progressive opera, either that or a long conceptual idea that has come together and come together beautifully. This track swirls whenever it's at its highest points, and whenever it's at its depths, certainly crawls and tugs on you a little bit. Overall, Terra Maze's Her Halo is one that has slipped underneath the radar of many people. However, if you're a progressive, crazed fan, this is a band that you actually were looking forward to the release of Her Halo. If you're unfamiliar with this name, you should definitely get lost in the Terra Maze. It's a lot better than that joke was, believe me.
Number 5.
Number 5, we have Waken Eyes with Palisades. This is off of an album entitled Exodus, which was released here in 2015. This is a group that features members that were formerly in groups such as Darkwater and Symphony X. I say formerly, they're still in those projects, it's just that this is their side gig, their side game. Side game is certainly strong, as this is one that has a lot of power behind it. Some people may consider this power progressive or just simply heavy progressive. I say, shit, they're just influenced by the bands that they're in, because Symphony X certainly isn't one that's just down in the gallows all the time or extremely soft. They have a lot of power, a lot of oomph, a lot of girth behind them. The same can actually be said for Darkwater. And so this follows in that setting a little bit, this song at least. The album itself, Exodus, is a sprawling journey that takes you through the ups and downs, and it's one that showcases the wide range that Waken Eyes truly possesses, and that's the mark of a truly great progressive metal band. This, I believe, is their first release, so there are some bumps in the road, some kinks. It's definitely not the perfect album. However, this song really illustrates what happens whenever a random assortment of individuals from top-notch progressive or power metal groups comes together and decides to work on something pretty magnificent. Check this one out. You won't regret it.
Number 4.
Number 4 is King Crow with The Deeper Divide. This is off of Idios here in 2015. King Crow has been a mainstay name for progressive fans here within the past couple of years, so this may seem like, oh, well, I know these guys. You probably know most of the people on this list. I'm catering to the wrong crowd, truly. But King Crow has come back again here in 2015 and released a monstrous disc, one that has a lot of great elements that sort of border on the finest works of progressive rock, but also sometimes, at times, elevates into that metal territory. I like the fact that this song really tends to build itself up, only to kind of drop off and then build itself back up once again. It's a mark of really solid songwriting whenever you're trying to make that sort of emotional cliffhanger and then the cliff dive. And The Deeper Divide is actually kind of an apt title based around that similar ideology. So this is one to check out, and if you're not a fan or really familiar with King Crow, then you certainly should be.
Number 3.
Number 3, we have Wide Eyes with Renaissance. This is off of Terraforming. This is the name of the album here in 2015, and I think these guys are largely independent. This is instrumental work that has a tremendous upside, and we're going to be talking about another instrumental group very soon, but this is one that really has a little bit more of a djenty flavor to it, a little bit more of just that freeform sort of animals as leaders approach to it, and it has a lot to offer. It's very spacey in its themology, but at the same time also has a lot of power behind it, and these guys should be noticed. They really ought to be noticed, considering they deliver their work, they deliver their tracks with such energy and such ferocity that it almost seems too heavy at times to be a progressive project. But progressive is right there in its life's blood. It's something that gives it drive and gives it character. And I have to say, from the perspective of a complete outsider walking in and listening to Terraforming for the first time, you'll leave terraformed, transformed. It's crazy, and crazy good.
Number 2.
Number 2, we have The Closest I've Come, which is from the band Earthside, off of their album A Dream in Static. This is one that just came out a few weeks ago. Andrew Stout of The Great American Demise was able to do some great stuff with it. Official GATG is his YouTube page. But let me tell you something, the band is truly the centerpiece here. This is instrumental work that also just shines in its craziness. There's a riff in here that sounds like it belongs on an Opeth record. There are moments on this disc that sound like it just crushes your bones internally while at the same time crushing your spirit, and then it uplifts you. It kind of brings you back. This feels very free form, but has a very cerebral nature to it, if that makes any sense. The band just really knows how to craft some excellently sculpted instrumental progressive metal music, and this is a can't-miss album for fans that are unfamiliar with this album, either that or for people who are unfamiliar with this band. If you like Animals as Leaders, if you like progressive instrumental work, then you have to check this out. Hell, if you liked Wide Eyes from number 3, you need to check out Earthside.
Number 1.
And that brings us to number 1. We just talked about this album, but it needs mentioning again. Vanden Plas with the song Monster. This is off of Chronicles of the Immortals Netherworld 2. This album is deserving of this secondary mention, principally because we've already done Leprous 2 treatments throughout this series, and they're another terrific band that you should check out. But Monster is one that showcases Vanden Plas' ability to sort of step outside of their own sound a little bit and add elements that may seem a bit out of character and are big surprises. And in this case, it's a little bit of a darker, brooding vocal structure to it, which reminds me of groups such as November or Wolverine a little bit. Once again, going back to Wolverine, man, they're supposed to have a new album in 2016. I can't wait. But Vanden Plas has returned with Netherworld 2 in a huge way, in a way that we never thought would be possible. Even though the first part of this album cycle was terrific, we didn't expect the second one to truly be as magnificent as it was, but also as heavy as it was. If you enjoy heavy progressive music, if you love the piss out of Dream Theater, you need to check out Chronicles of the Immortals Netherworld 2 by Vanden Plas, because you're going to love the piss out of this album, and you're going to piss yourself whenever you hear Monster. So yeah, if I could cite 10 songs just like that are just from progressive metal bands, and there are more, countless more that are out there, leave your submissions and your thoughts about this in the comments below. Imagine what the remaining genres of music, the remaining subgenres of heavy metal even, are going to offer. 2015's been a hell of a year in music, and we still have about 2 months to go in it, roughly. So those people who are saying it was shit, they don't know shit. I'm coverkillernation, and we'll return to 10 awesome songs very, very soon and look at another subgenre of heavy metal and just how successful it's been here in the year 2015. Peace.